No one is more important to you than your family, and rightfully so. With me now is a man who practices family law. He is John Schmidt, and today is Family Law Friday, and John joins us once again. It's been a while, John, but welcome back to the show.
Good seeing you again, John.
All right, and John, you and I were talking about the fact that, you know, in family law, there are some, you see a lot of tough cases. I don't know which way to put it. A lot of personal cases that can be very emotional, and sometimes when you have people who are involved directly, the stories resonate with people more. You
100%,
agree?
yeah, agree.
All right. Julian Ragains is with us as well, and that's his mother, Sabrina Ragains. Welcome to the show.
Good to be here.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to talk about this fentanyl crisis. And Sabrina, you've come on the show before.
Yes.
But for those who did not see your appearance, tell me a little bit about your story, your daughter, and of course, your son Julian as well.
Yes. We lost our daughter, my daughter Sunny Ragains, on May 21st of last year, 2022. She had taken what we believe she believed to be a Xanax at that night, and she passed away to fentanyl. The only thing they could find in her bloodstream was fentanyl. And we have been trying to get answers, and ever since that day and dealing with the repercussions, I lost my daughter, Julian lost his sister, and her daughter, Stella, my granddaughter, lost her mom. So that's what we're dealing with.
Sabrina, sometimes in this, we stereotype and we think, okay, fentanyl, this is someone who was an experienced drug user or drug abuser. That's not the case with your daughter, and I want to clarify that. So if you would, tell me a little bit about the character of your daughter.
Well, and first of all, I am careful on that because I don't think that, I think that is the fentanyl topic is very well known, but it's also very stigmatized. And I don't like that because so many people who, when they're young, a lot of kids try different things. Sunny had tried other things in the past. She absolutely had, because she was a 22-year-old kid. She'd not in some time, but yes. So again, if you're a victim of somebody giving you something that you think it's one thing, a Xanax, for example, and instead it's something that's going to kill you, you're a victim, whether
Yes.
you had been a habitual user or not. Now, that's why I'm very careful about that.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. I agree with you. Regardless,
Yes.
someone gave her something that was literally poisonous.
Exactly.
So thank you very much for clarifying. And your perspective is interesting, as is yours, Julian. So this is your sister. And first of all, I said this to your mom, and this, of course, remains. I'm sorry for your loss. You as well, Julian. Tell me a little bit about your sister. What kind of person was she?
Well, she was just electric. I mean, she always filled up the room. And if it wasn't for my sister, you know, a lot of times my family wouldn't get together and do the things they did. And it's really hard losing somebody that was kind of the basis and the foundation for your family. I mean, she was the first child, and she was my only sibling. And it's hard losing that and knowing that I'm never going to get to talk to somebody that would understand like she would. And that's the hardest part.
That resonates with everyone. So let's talk a little bit about...
There she is.
Yeah, there, yeah. Let's talk a little bit about, okay, you know, nothing's going to replace the loss of your daughter, the loss of your sister. So at this point, you're looking for justice. Where are we on this? Because I don't blame you. I want answers, right?
Yes, we want answers, and yeah, I can tell you exactly where we are. We have gotten nowhere. We know who gave Sunny the
Fentanyl.
Yes, the fentanyl that killed her that week. And the Prescription Drug Task Force has all of that information. They came and met with us. Of course, for a while they returned my phone calls and said that they were looking into things. They had things that they were still investigating, but they stopped returning those phone calls, and we are absolutely nowhere. I will tell you, though, that in November, our family, our home, was burglarized. And the police came, of course, took the report. They took a lot of different things. The next day, we found some of those belongings in shops across town, and it turns out it's the person who gave her the drugs that week. So that person is now being tried and has been arrested, and that is great, but it is for the burglary, not for giving her the drugs.
You know, when you have something this personal happen to you, of course, as a mother, I know you were researching and trying to do as much as you could. Julian, I'm sure you as well. For a young man of your age, what did you learn about the drug of fentanyl? As I said, it's hard to find a positive out of this, obviously. But for you, you know, you're at the age where, hey, experimentation is pretty normal. Tell me a little bit about what you have learned and maybe what you pass along to your friends.
Well, the biggest thing that I've learned, and this is like by far, I kind of looked at it as like a lesson. I mean, it is an extraordinary loss, but you can't trust anything. It's not the same as it used to be. I mean, you never really could, but at this point in time, I mean, it could be one time and it's a done deal. And I've learned to just never experiment with those things, and you know, it's never worth it to take the chance for even a slight high, you know. So it's scary. It's scary to see, and when I see other people doing it or hear about other people doing it, anything, it's terrifying because I know that could be the last time I ever speak to them. It really puts in perspective how you really just can't take people for granted.
As I said, I'm sorry for what you've been through, but I'm so proud of you, and I'm sure your mom is as well, for being courageous enough to step up and say something now. Because, you know, I'm sure your peers respect you. They hear you say something like, they go, whoa, this guy lost his sister. You lost your daughter. John, I think there's some people out there who think, okay, this is pretty rare. This hasn't touched me. But in your law practice, do you see fentanyl cases quite often?
I don't, but it's out there. She's the second client that I've had with this, so I think that's probably pretty high percentage because some of my friends don't even have that experience. But it doesn't mean it's not happening, because it is. You know, I deal with the criminal side or the family law side, and I think this is clearly a murder case that needs to be prosecuted. You know, someone gives you a lethal dose of anything, they might as well pull the trigger. So it's no different than shooting somebody or killing by any other method. So the Commonwealth Attorney needs to take this up and prosecute it to the fullest extent of the law. It's the only way it's going to stop is if people have consequences to their actions. You know, drug dealers are doing this kind of stuff. Laced fentanyl, knowingly gave her the pill. As far as I'm concerned, that's murder. So it needs to be taken up by the Commonwealth Attorney.
Yes, yes. Yeah, Sabrina, you know, someone like you who's had this personal experience, you can get action. You know, you're one of those, I can tell you're very determined. From the last time I talked to you, it sounds like there has been some movement with the case. Are you satisfied with the justice that has been done thus far? I know you've got a long way to go.
I'm not satisfied at all, and there's not been movement on her death at all. So no, I'm not. And the reason John hasn't gotten more of these cases is because they're virtually impossible to try, because you have to, in order to try them, you have to have proof of this. And while we have evidence that he gave her the drugs, we don't have evidence that that night that's exactly what she took yet. We're working on that. But it is a very difficult thing to do, and there needs to be more resources, and there needs to be more communication with our police force, with our prescription drug task force, and with the families of those who are the victims of this, because it's a very difficult system to navigate.
You know, I know there'll always be a void in your heart for you, Julian. When you hear certain songs, when you see certain scenes, when you have certain events, is there any certain events or maybe places that you put yourself, you go, boy, I miss having her here?
God, Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
It was the hardest Christmas I've ever had in my entire life.
Ooh, I cannot imagine.
And I mean, any holiday really. Just I have to walk past her room every day. I mean, her room's right next to mine, so that's just what it does, I guess.
Yeah.
Fentanyl in itself, it's just losing somebody that close to you shouldn't happen because of that, and it did.
You know,
it makes me angry. I'm sorry.
Oh,
it
no,
makes me angry.
you know what? I can understand that anger. I can understand that. Something taken from you, and it really did not have to be that way. John, I appreciate you taking this time. Obviously, Family Law Friday. There's not a lot of family law here. As you said, this is basically a murder case. With that being said, you've dedicated your time and said, hey, I want to raise awareness about this issue.
Yeah.
So that's important to you, isn't it? Because I've told folks before when I've talked about you, I said, it isn't about the money for you. It's about what's right. And,
that's right.
You know, and raising awareness about this issue, it's the right thing to do.
It is the right thing to do. And you and I talked about it after the initial segment, and you said, you know, I'd like to really do a follow-up, and I'd like to see where this goes and maybe have her back on. And so given, you know, that we had this opportunity, thought, well, we'll do that. We'll have that follow-up. And, you know, she was saying that they hadn't got anywhere with it, and, you know, the other case had progressed, the burglary. I mean, the thing that kills me about this is the guy murders her daughter and then has the cojones to then break into her house and steal her stuff, including a pet's ashes. And I mean, the guy is just, they need to prosecute this to the fullest extent of the law. They really do. You know, these are not people that we want free in our community. Louisville is a great place, and growing up, it was a very safe place. It's gotten less so now. You know, the police need to be supported better. We really need to restore what we had in the past. You know, my kids, you know, it's not as safe as it once was. We used to run the streets and ride our bikes and rip and run, and you know, those days, parents are now far more concerned, and the murder rate's gone up. It just has got to get better.
It's the reality in which we live.
Which it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be. No,
There's no excuse for it. Our political leaders are failing us, and our police need to be supported better. They really do. And I'm a criminal defense lawyer, and I hold them accountable. Cops play dirty, then I'll get them every time. You know, there are rules, and we play by the rules. My job is to hold the cops accountable, and we can. And every criminal defense lawyer does the same thing. They play by the rules, and defendant's guilty, they'll win. They play dirty, I win. Or my guy's innocent, I win. So, you know, I mean, they just need to do a better job of supporting the police.
John, thank you again.
Thank you.
Sabrina, Julian, I hope the healing can continue. I hope you get the answers that you seek, and I am all in for a follow-up on this case, okay? This
Thank you.
Interesting case. I wish you the best, both of you. All right, once again, Family Law Friday with John Schmidt. Coming up here on a much lighter note, today is National Golden Retriever Day. We're going to talk about an event that's coming up. If you happen to have a puppy, you may want to attend. We'll talk about that next on Wave Listens.